what's the point of marriage? I'm Mike, I'm married, and I want to tell you about our marriage. It's both more beautiful and ugly than you could imagine. So I can't just tell you about it straight up. I need to tell you a story. It starts with a girl. Think Cinderella, only worse. She was nothing. Her parents were disgraced and they then threw her out, and so she went further and further down, being helpless, until at last she lay in her own blood and wept. Can you picture her? And then she heard a soft, gentle voice say, "Live." The man looked at her, humiliated, naked, broken. He just saw beauty. He desired her, but not like others. He didn't take advantage of her. He covered her shame. He committed himself to her, marrying her. It turns out he's a king. He gave her everything. He washed away the blood and the dirt, and he dressed her as a queen covered in jewels. He served her the finest of foods. And that girl from no one became known by everyone. From less than rags to greater than riches. Saved by a marriage of love. But the ever after had to wait. The woman began to boast in her beauty. She used her royal clothes and jewels to make a bed for others to worship her body. Now the king wept, but he wouldn't give up. He reduced her riches to limit her admirers and let news travel of her behaviour. But she just found others. She paid them to love her. So he exposed her to them. Her fame returned to disgrace, only now it's known by all. Can you picture her? And then she heard a soft, gentle voice say, "My wife, I will take your shame." They all knew what she had done, but before them all, the king lifted her up. He took off his own clothes and began to clean her. Everyone mocked him. "You idiot, get rid of that whore." But he wouldn't give up. With their words, they threw mud and then rocks. And then he lay in his own blood, and they laughed. But then he said, "Look at my bride." And before them stood the woman in radiant beauty, washed, spotless, perfect. No one insulted her. No one could. Somehow her past was gone. She was new. She was obviously and completely the king's glorious wife. He rose and kissed her. And she looked at him, filled with tears, and sobbed, "Why?" And he replied, "Because I married you. I promised to love you more than any other ever will." And that's my marriage story. Only it's not my marriage with Tanya. It's not just even mine, it's the story of our marriage with God. And the ugly part is that we're not the husband, we're the unfaithful wife. He found us with nothing to offer. He committed himself to love us, and we cheated on him. I cheated on him. I lived as if he didn't exist. I used all that he gave me to entice others to worship me. But he didn't give up. Jesus was faithful to his marriage promise. He passionately loved us. He died for us, taking all our shame. And it's so much bigger than a feeling or romance. It's the ultimate marriage. It's beautiful. And when Tanya and I got married, we committed to love each other exclusively as Jesus had loved us. Looking forward to our eternal marriage with him. It's beautiful. Tanya does it as she faithfully, passionately, patiently sacrifices herself for me, despite my ugliness and failings. I try to do the same. I remember my commitment to love her just as Jesus loves me, and I don't give up. I love our marriage, but even more as it helps me and our community, everyone, to seek and reflect our marriage with Jesus. Do you know your marriage story? Whether you're single or married, remember our husband. He loves you. He's committed to you, to us. Marriages here should help us to long for our marriage with him. Sometimes I forget that. Maybe next time you see me, you could remind me of our real marriage story. And so of what love can look like.